Serpoans. It would be an understatement to say that the Serpoans gave us a really bad first impression. They showed up in an abandoned building, kidnapped a young girl, and, tried to do other stuff. So it makes sense that a woman protector like Turbo Granny would eventually come for them. Serpoans have no parts of their own as clones, which is why they came to Earth to steal some, and finally have female versions of their species. But that doesn't make the way that they try to force humans to quote-unquote donate their organs any better. And they treat other aliens they hire like garbage, not realizing that their behavior isn't acceptable. Most of the Serpoans' abilities are showcased early on, like their psychokinesis, with their partially robotic bodies being durable against most attacks, and the ability to contain tools like scissors or cables. But then there's the awesome zone, when there's 3 of them, allowing them to nullify yokai power and exert pressure on an enemy. They share data with each other at creation, and if it's overwritten, they can act and look different. Serpoans also use their cables to merge with other beings like Nessie and become stronger. Rokuro's the only ally among them so far, and ends up almost dying to save Vamola's life. But he also joined the protagonist to get stolen data back from the Cur and protect his race. His straying from the norm gets him disowned by his kin and leaves him as an independent clone. He also looks different from the rest, which helps to tell him apart. And he works at a convenience store now. The name Serpo comes from the term often used in UFO circles to describe a planet or project related to aliens. Flatwoods Monster. This giant aggressive alien was another ally to the Serpoans, and was hired by them to get the bananas that they needed. Despite being an alien, ringing Momo's doorbell triggers the warning that an evil spirit is present, or maybe it's due to the empty space it's created around her house. Not only was this alien obsessed with sumo wrestling, he also had the physique of someone who practiced it often. Even though he was more reliant on his sumo prowess, the Flatwoods Monster could exhale a dark mist of poison that was comparable to mustard gas, and when he lost limbs, he was able to regenerate them from other parts of his body. The name comes from where it was first spotted, which was Flatwoods, West Virginia. This is based on a real incident in the 1950s and became a special interest for Japanese people. Mr. Mantis Shrimp and his son Chiquitita, known as the Dover Demon or the Mantisian. This alien was initially a contractor for the Serpoans until their abuse of him went too far. His home planet is at war with his son in dire needs of treatments for a deadly illness. In order to pay for the treatments, he did odd jobs to keep his son well. The illness causes his son's internal fluids to be evacuated and need to be replenished daily. Thankfully, their blood turns out to be cow's milk, which is easy to acquire on Earth. Mr. Mantis' shrimp's real name is Peeny Weeny, but no one calls him that. He's a very strong fighter with boxing-type moves that make him suited for bodyguard work. They're strong like a mantis shrimp and become even more powerful in their second form. It grants a different moveset, but they can't breathe underwater with it. After receiving treatment for his wounds and a cow for his son's illness, Mr. Mantis leaves the planet. But he returns when the cow can't be milked due to his planet's limitations and lives on Earth with his son Chiquitita instead, both of them disguised as human. He helps the gang once in a while with their yokai or alien problems as gratitude. Vamola. Probably the last child of her kind, Vamola is a female Sumerian who escaped her planet, Sumer, and the violent war and imprisonment by the Cur. She was found as a young child, raised by the remaining adults, and trained by them to use a Godzilla-esque battlesuit. Prior to leaving, Vamola tried to free the men of her planet so they wouldn't be turned into exosuits and caused a riot. As an alien, she struggles to speak the languages on Earth and has trouble explaining where she comes from and why she's there. But she looks almost exactly like a human, besides the antenna that her people have. It's also likely that Sumerians are the ancestors of humans, which is why they have a direct warp to Earth, or what they call Idea, their second home. Vamola doesn't have superpowers, but she relies on the battlesuit based on the god of Sumer for offense. With it, she can create empty space that other aliens are able to create as well, and it grants strength and more durability to her otherwise normal body. If needed, the suit can camouflage or even turn her invisible, as well as change sizes. And if she needs to blend in, it can copy the clothing of those around her. There's also an emergency defense option to protect the wearer which comes in handy if Vamola is knocked out. Her surviving allies are in space trying to reach her currently. The name Sumerian is directly taken from the earliest known civilization from Mesopotamia who helped create the basis for our current world. Mandrill. He's a primate-looking alien who makes Momo and Akarun play kick the can, and is overly confident in his skills and intellect. He looks down on humans for being primitive and unevolved, but gets extremely angry and aggressive when his intelligence is questioned, and also doesn't want to be compared to monkeys, ironically. He came to Earth to collect test subjects that he could dissect after turning into cans, but instead lost his game against Momo and Akarun, even with his alleged 300 IQ. Then he just disappeared, probably from having his ego hurt. Ludris. Ludris is a peaceful, spacefaring alien who is hard to cross paths with. He does look similar to the Serpoans because of his cube-shaped body, but his personality is entirely different. Some also compare him to a Minecraft character. The first time we meet him, he's brought over by Mr. Mantis Shrimp to help rebuild Seiko and Momo's home. But they attack him before he can explain why he's there. It turns out to be pure luck that he's even on the planet. Even though he's pretty peeved by that, he still goes through with his task. He introduces his nanoskin technology to the characters, which ends up coming in handy many times in the future. Not only can it repair most damage, it responds to the user's thoughts and imagination to take shape. Later on, Rokuro reveals just how powerful and mysterious Ludris is, which makes it even more surprising that he was attacked and didn't retaliate. Count Saint Germain, aka Sanjime. One of the most mysterious alien characters, Saint Germain's home planet and species are still unknown. At first glance, he seems like a regular human, but he can alter people's memories of him or space. And considering his obsession with collecting yokai powers, probably just because, he doesn't exactly feel like a friend. It doesn't help that he went through the gates of hell to arrive on Earth. Turbo Granny seems to have some bad history with him, which either implies that he's not an alien, but a yokai turned against his own, or that he's tried to capture her powers in the past. His first true reveal comes due to the cursed trunk, the Dandadan, and the battle against the fairy tale card. He helps Momo and friends get out of a tight spot by defeating the powerful demonic yokai, but then takes its power for himself. He also uses a secret identity at their school, blending in as a teacher named Sanjime. But with the new developments, and the other teachers using the same Asura Kozuka knives to try to steal yokai powers, it seems like his background might come to light very soon. Saint Germain strengthens himself by absorbing yokai and using them once they're stored in his Kogai. But he can only obtain those powers through the enemy's admitted defeat, which he attempts on human students like Akarun too. Aside from yokai, Saint Germain uses a katana as his main weapon, demonstrating his agility and skill with a blade. But he's proven that he can even detect attacks while blinded, and can sense the presence of others too. He's not someone who can be snuck up on easily. So far, Count Saint Germain has shown to be able to use any yokai power he takes over. This includes the jumping crone, the black hair cutter, and the water tiger. But he can only use one of them at a time. His ultimate goal is to find Dandadan, which is still a mystery. And considering his connection to the Cur, it likely isn't a good thing. The Cur, aka globalists. The Cur are basically exosuit-using octopuses who are militaristic and trying to conquer every planet they come across. As an advanced race, they're willing to ally with strong fighters from other species if it works to their advantage, like Count Saint Germain and the humanoid-looking female who used one of their exosuits. Unlike most alien species on the list, this one truly feels like a universal threat, destroying planets and races as they please. Serpoans can agree how deadly they are, and the Sumerians are the proof of their monstrous activity. Their military reaches all corners of space, spreading death and fear as they go. The Cur are shown to be more powerful than even powered humans like Akarun and Gigi, with only Reiko Kashima, the undefeated yokai, being able to destroy an entire unit of them planning to destroy Earth. Their powerful exosuits are created by the other species they capture, and the Cur even sacrifice their strongest enemies, just to create better suits to use in battle. The suits themselves require an orb to power them with, which is similar to the one used in Vamola's suit. But hers is the only one the Sumerians had, and was probably stolen from the Cur a long time ago. Despite their almost impenetrable army and power, the Kur are unable to survive on other worlds without their exosuit for long. From what we've seen, it takes at most a day before they die from the exposure of another atmosphere. The name Kur comes from the ancient Sumerian language and refers to the deep, dark underworld. And considering it could imply the Kur are from the underground hidden area, could it be possible that the Subterraneans are related to them? Big Mama. Unlike the other aliens we meet, Big Mama seems more like a mindless creature who relies on other species for its survival. We haven't seen it speak or interact with anyone else besides the Kur who seem to have tamed it. And it eats whatever victims, other aliens usually, that it's given. With those offerings, the Big Mama giants can create impressive exosuits for the Kur military and create even greater power for them. But they seem unaware of what they're even doing or why. They just eat whatever they're given, no questions asked. That's it for this one, guys. If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe for more Dandadan content like this. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.